making sure we're building solutions to problems we actually have is really important.
I really want to emphasize one of the points that you made, which is the role of the physician in sales and business development. When I was at CirrusMD, which was a national scale telehealth company, and we were selling telehealth services to payers, it was an absolute must that one of us physician leaders was on the sales team when we were pitching the health plan, because the health plan oftentimes had a CMO on their side. Yeah. If the buyer has a CMO on their side and you don't have a physician on your side, like that sale isn't going to happen. Yeah. I can almost promise you that.
I totally agree.
And I have seen physicians on sales teams absolutely destroy the deal because they don't understand business etiquette. They don't understand the business model. They don't understand the finances. So if you want to play that role, which is a fun role to play, you really have to understand this stuff. What have you seen in that?
Oh my gosh, so many stories. And I totally agree with you. You know, when I first started working for startups, it's like, you know, we'll have you help us with sales. And you're like, wait, what? You know, me? Sales? Like, no, I don't think I'd be very good at that. And I will say, having worked very closely with the sales team, people who are in sales as their career, they are good. And it is not only just a skill, it's an art, and they're incredibly talented. You know, I think sales gets a bad rap because, you know, people say, oh, you're like a used car salesman. Like maybe used car salesmen or women are like quite lovely people too. I don't know. But, you know, I feel like they get a bad rap around sales. But again, technology doesn't get into the hospital if you can't sell it. So they're an important part of the equation. I will say I have found it for me that it's better if I work closely with the sales team who takes the lead. And then to your point, when you're on those calls, being the voice of the clinician and then speaking to the clinician on the other side of the table has really helped with closing deals, right? Clinicians understand clinicians. And I think that relationship cannot be underestimated. Yeah. I do think that if physicians are taking the lead on sales and maybe making some of those cold emails, cold calls, physicians on the other end of that are like, what? Like, why are you doing that? You know, so I think it kind of comes with a little bit of the head tilt. So just, you know, caution folks there. But, you know, oftentimes I'm like, oh, I'm terrible in sales. And then people in industry are actually like, you're actually not. And I think it's just because if we believe in something and we talk about it, it turns out that like that sells. And so it's a little bit reframing what does sales actually look like and why different people can be good at sales. Yeah. But the last piece I will say is that people in general, including physicians, you need to maintain your integrity in that process. Yeah. So because when it comes to networking, I do think physicians are more open to networking with other physicians. You know, I remember once someone said like, well, can you just set up some sales calls for us? And then send the sales team. You don't even have to go. And I was like, no, like you don't understand. Like doctors don't do that to doctors. Like I can't do that. Like that's a bait and switch and I won't. So just know, you know, like you said, business etiquette or some of the practices, it may all be well and good. It may all be ethical. It may all be the way things happen. But I do think people need to be true to themselves. And you have to step out of your comfort zone to a point.